long as we got each other, we got the world spinning right in our hands, baby, you and me. We gotta be the luckiest dreamers who never quit dreaming. As long as we keep on giving, we can take anything that comes our.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Millennial and
the other virtual
edition. So Shawn and I are here on our own Zoom call because everything was COVID and everyone's still cautious. And I'm sure all of you can relate to having to be on many Zoom calls for your meetings nowadays. So we think this is a really relatable episode for you all because we're going to be talking about virtual meetings and online discussions and conference calls, and what are all of us doing now that most of us, or at least a decent amount of us, are probably still working from home. So as you guys can see, I'm still here in my home office, Shawn's in his office, and we're going to be having our little banter and our back and forth here just virtually this time. So we're going to go ahead and get it started. So Shawn, you've been probably doing online conference calls and all these things much longer than I have, also just given your years of experience in working. So what was it like even, a couple of years ago before everybody was Zoom calling, and what kind of methods would you use for large group discussions when not everybody could be there? What would you do?
Yeah, I think, based in our organization, we're kind of a sales organization. And so we had those meetings where we needed to group in multiple people and stuff. And so really the only methods, I would say even a couple to 5 years in transition would be more of the freeconferencecall.com or GoToMeeting was kind of that system that we use. Before that, it was the good old old archaic thing that nobody uses anymore. And trying to figure out the conference call and add in people that was never, and you'd hang up on the whole crew. So it was clunky and cumbersome. Certainly the Zoom and all the other mediums that are out there now have greatly sped up, our communication capabilities.
Absolutely. So. I know. I remember even in when I was in school or anything like that, the video conferencing wasn't much of a thing, especially the way that students or kids in college or adults now are probably so used to coming into the workforce with these applications where you can have these large group meetings of 10, 20, 50 plus people. For me, it was just, here's a group email with everybody's information on it. And if you need to reach out to someone individually, you can find them. Or it was still just a lot of coordinating in-person meetings and going to big seminars once a week to see everybody, because this kind of thing didn't have much of an application at that point. And now, students and workers and everybody is so familiar with these online types of platforms. So do you have a preference now that we're in much more of the video conferencing as opposed to just conference calling era? Do you have a preference in what platform you use? I know we're on Zoom now. I think that's what I've used most, but what are your thoughts? Do you have a preference on what platform you use?
I don't. I think Zoom has made it extremely easy for the teachers, for business professionals, and anybody in between. And that seems to be the medium that has been kind of pushed to the forefront. Seems to work relatively good. We rarely have an issue or anything. So I would say that's the one that has been good for reaching out beyond the office into other people that need to dial in. We have access to Microsoft Teams. I've been using that more for internal. I think that is the capabilities to add external people. It's a little bit more cumbersome than what a Zoom is. Yeah. So I haven't quite mastered that. I think for myself, Zoom is the medium I prefer, and why it gives you some face and personality to the call. You can't read facial expressions on on an
Right.
archaic conference call. And so it's nice to have that personal relationship, like we're used to, having people in the office stop by or,
Right.
read an expression and see if somebody's having a good or a bad day. And, even calling on accounts with, buyer signals and how they're relating to
Right.
communication. So I think it's pretty powerful, and looking forward to incorporating it into our sales strategy moving forward. So
Absolutely. Yeah, I think Zoom, and I'm not quite sure, like you said, we have Microsoft Teams, but we don't really use it, I don't think, to the extent that we use Zoom. But I think Zoom is so easy because, I'm videoing you right now and I'm on my laptop, but I also have the app on my phone or on my iPad.
Yep.
And based on what, I may need to have pulled up in front of me versus what I need to be talking, I could pull up my Zoom and have my video going and my audio from my iPad while having a presentation pulled up on my computer, or controlling my audio from my phone, where you can, I feel it's so much easier to mute or unmute yourself or do whatever. So I feel like Zoom can be so much more user friendly. I think it's very similar to the way that, say, FaceTime works on iPhones, which I feel is very user friendly. So I think it's probably why it's become so popular during this time, is because it's pretty straightforward and cut and dry. And I think it's applicable on practically any type of device or software. So I agree. It's also my personal favorite. So good deal.
Yeah, and I think that I've seen a lot of memes out there with video conference call bingo boards of who's going to say what and how they're going to say it, and talking over each other and doing all the different things. So we'll have to see if we can share that with the group. But there certainly is a learning curve of minding your P's and Q's and making sure that, one of my pet peeves with it is making sure that the people you're talking to are focused. I can't stand it when somebody is, on a conference call and they're seem to be doing laundry, or they're paying attention to their dog and doing everything else but actually paying attention to the speaker.
Right.
So I know that there's a lot of pet peeves, and it's a lot of getting used to. What are some of your pet peeves?
I'm a big person on, and you would think at this point it's so much more common knowledge, but I find that it's not, is to appropriately mute yourself when you need to, or people like me, where right now I have the video up on my computer, but I've dialed in and I'm using the audio from my phone, but they don't have their computer muted. So then you get this weird echo effect going in the background, or they go to say something and they're not off mute, so then you can't hear what they're saying. I think that gets really annoying. I also just think it, like you said, it can be annoying when someone's trying to present or what have you, and you see someone moving in the background and it's causing distractions and things like that. Because I try my best to treat Zoom calls and these kinds of meetings like an in-person meeting. So, you want to behave or do your best to act the way you would in a normal meeting. And that brings up a point. What do you think is maybe some of the do's and don'ts with presenting yourself on camera, with maybe your attire or your location or whatever? Do you think there's any guidelines that people should stick to?
Yeah, I think for right now, certainly, I think we're all in a more relaxed environment, but that doesn't include necessarily pajamas. So I think business professional, semi-professional attire, a collared shirt, in a golf shirt type thing, but something that is a little bit relaxed, yet still business casual. So I think that's certainly appropriate. I have been on calls where people look like they just rolled out of the shower and, maybe put their pajamas on, and, it's a little distracting, and you want people to take it a little bit more serious. So definitely with you on that one. And I think just the common hand signals that I've learned in the short time I've been using it, when someone says anything, can you hear me? It's a thumbs up, versus everybody yelling at each other at the same time saying, yes, we can hear you. So I think it's learning some of that just base knowledge that can help everybody out, save time by giving thumbs up or thumbs down or can't hear you or we're out, versus talking over everybody.
Exactly. I know. I think there's so many things that we have to learn, like you said, the P's and Q's or the do's and don'ts of video conferencing. And I think that video conferencing is probably here to stay, or I don't imagine it going away anytime soon. So I just hope that us having this conversation is helpful to all of you at home, to maybe just be mindful of what you're doing, or just to maybe see if you agree with what Shawn discussed. So let us know in the comments below in this video, what is your preferred method of online video conferencing? Do you use video conferencing in your job much, or are you still meeting in person, or is it just regular conference calls? Let us know. But in the meantime, we are so glad that you guys could join us today in our virtual Millennial versus the Other discussion. And we are so excited to see you guys next time. Bye.
See ya. Keep your pajamas on.
As long as we got each other.
See ya, Emily.